Please introduce yourselves. Coaditore.
Augustin Paloca from Coaditore. There is a dialogue going on between Pristina and Belgrade under EU facilitation, but they insist that this is just a technical dialogue, and Kosovo government is saying that no issue of the North should be discussed in this dialogue. Now you call for the political dialogue to resolve issue of the North. Is this correct understanding, or you think that in this dialogue that is ongoing, they should discuss the North, or there should be another political process or political negotiations to resolve the issues of the North?
I don't suggest a parallel or another political process. I strongly support the EU-sponsored dialogue. And we shouldn't be surprised that such dialogues very often start with technical questions that are important to get solved. And then gradually such more technical discussions will evolve into a more political dialogue. That's quite natural based on my experience.
Over there.
Secretary General Jeff Mead from British Forces News. So much of our time here and yours has been spent on looking at the post-conflict stage of Afghanistan. Can I ask you to share with us your views on who will pay the estimated, I think it's over $4 billion, of supporting Afghan security forces, and how difficult is it going to be to get enthusiasm among donor nations?
First of all, let me stress that no decision has been made yet as regards the size, the long-term size of the Afghan security forces, and consequently no decision has been made as regards the bill to pay. Having said that, I think it's a responsibility for the whole of the international community. And actually the international community committed itself to such financing of the Afghan security forces at a recent Bonn conference. So it goes beyond NATO and ISAF and includes other parts of the international community.
Is it going to be a difficult sell?
No, actually I think it's very easy to make the case that for the whole of the international community it is a very good deal to finance a credible Afghan security force. Militarily and politically, because it's much better in a longer-term perspective that the Afghans take responsibility for the security themselves, and economically because it's less expensive to finance Afghan security forces than to deploy international forces in Afghanistan.
Agence France-Presse.
The French defense minister said that 230,000 would be an appropriate number for a long-term Afghan force. And also that France, related to the Afghan security forces, has asked for NATO to come up with a plan to counter the infiltration of Taliban in the Afghan security forces. Was there an agreement on that today? And could you give details on that?
Yeah, I'm pleased to inform you that all ISAF partners agreed to task our military authorities to develop a plan to counter, I would rather say to strengthen countering such infiltration. We have already taken a lot of steps, but in the light of recent events, we agreed to strengthen those efforts. So based on the proposal tabled by the French Minister of Defense, all ISAF partners agreed to task our military authorities to develop such a counter-infiltration plan and do that rapidly, that is before the end of February. As regards the first part of your question, we have, of course, today discussed what could be a long-term sustainable size of the Afghan security forces, but no decision has been made, and we agreed today that we will now engage in a consultation process leading up to the Chicago summit.
Over there.
Mr. Secretary General, You said that ISAF forces will fight alongside the Afghans where necessary through the transition period. How is that impacted by the French plan to withdraw their forces next year and the American plan to disengage from combat next year?
First of all, let me stress that I have not heard of any American plan to disengage from combat in Afghanistan. On the contrary, we have decided to stick to the Lisbon roadmap, which implies a transition to lead Afghan responsibility until the end of 2014, where we hope and expect the Afghans to take full responsibility for security all over Afghanistan. And as I have said on several occasions, during that period of transition, you will, of course, see a gradual change of the role of our forces from combat to support. You might say that the focus will shift from combat to support, but combat operations will still be needed during that period of transition. So there will be no disengagement from combat operations during the period of transition. As far as France is concerned, it is, of course, a French decision as to how France will calibrate or configure its force presence. What we have heard is that France will stay committed to training activities in Afghanistan during this period of transition. So I can report to you today that all 50 ISAF partners stay committed to the Lisbon roadmap and to our mission throughout the period described in the Lisbon roadmap, that is, until the end of 2014. That's a fact.
Associated Press.
Yes, Secretary General, regarding the financing of post-2014 Afghan security forces, do you expect other major nations with an interest in Afghanistan stability, specifically China, India, and Russia, to make a significant contribution?
To the financing? To
the financing, yeah.
It's a call on the whole of the international community to contribute to financing Afghan security forces, because I think it is also in the interest of countries in the region to see a stable and secure Afghanistan, and the stronger the Afghan security forces, the more stable and the more secure not only Afghanistan but the whole region. So my call on the international community also includes countries in the region.
Thank you very much. I'm afraid that's all we have time for. Thank you and have a good weekend.